Hello, everybody. We're here backstage before the Nightwish gig here in Munich at the Olympiahalle, backstage with Floor, Jansen. Thank you for coming down here in the dungeon and having us.
You're very welcome.
Floor, this must be on tour the biggest Nightwish production so far, I can imagine.
I think so, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there any surprises like Dungeons, Dragons, fireworks that we have to be aware of?
Yes. I'm not telling you which part to be careful with. But, no.
You know, I got to ask you, before we talk about past, present, and future of Nightwish, I got to ask you something. You have a different project going on right now, Northward. And, you know, I could imagine that you being a mother now, you would have, you know, better things to do than record another record with a different band. Such things as sleep or eat or or relax, you know. But not you.
It's quite the assumption to make, but I recorded the project in the year that I was off of Nightwish.
Yeah.
And yes, now that I am a mother, it doesn't take away that I'm a musician, and to not make music at all in an entire year. Yeah. That was for me not really the option. So most of the work was done in that year that we were not on the road with Nightwish. So, and I have to stress that the entire writing process of this project was done 10 years ago. So the majority of the work was already done back in the days.
Did you change the song again? All the songs, you know, like they were laying down for 10 years, and you picked them up, and then you go like, oh, we could, you know, change this and change that, and
yeah, we made small changes, but surprisingly enough, nothing major, or oh, this song doesn't really fit, or I think we could do better now. It really felt like, yeah, this is good the way it is. We will update it, and of course, when you start recording it, small things do change. Yeah. And one lyric is entirely rewritten, but the rest were relatively small changes. Yeah.
Are you going to tour with Northward?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't really see that happening. Yeah. I indeed, as you say, I am a mother who would also like to spend time at home. We've been touring quite a bit this year. Yeah. So next year we want to make a new album with Nightwish. Good. So that keeps on rolling, that ball keeps on rolling. So for me to set up something, because it's now just Jörn Viggo, Lofstad, and me, we'd need a band, we'd need everything, and only just the organization of that, I would not know where to start, with the desire to also just be home for a bit. Yeah.
I had a peek at the set list, of course, from the previous shows that you played now with Nightwish, and you guys dig deep into the back catalog. I was like, where was this song again? I was like, oh, Oceanborn. I'm like, you know, although you, from the very first moment you were in this band, you blew everybody away. But picking up those old songs and singing them, which have been sung by another different singer, is that still something special for you, or do you try to give them, like, you know, your own little taste, your own little note?
Yeah, let's not forget that when I started in Nightwish, the only thing I did was singing songs that were not written for me. Yeah. So always the majority of our set lists have been dominated by songs that were from the times before me. The biggest difference between this tour and the previous ones is that this is entirely designed around our history. Yeah. So that's why it's called the Decades Tour. It is a whole trip down all the albums. So even from the very first one. Yeah. And that was something that indeed on the previous tours hasn't really happened into that extent. And we really wanted to make it sound like the Nightwish of 2018 without losing sense of the actual track. So for me, that was a thing to work with. But we did way more than ever with live backing vocals. Mm-hmm. So instead of recording tons of backings and play them, we now sing them live. So there's a lot more with Troy and Marco singing together, which gives a new sound and feel to everything, also to the older songs, of course. And of course, Troy, he was already active with a lot of different instruments, but even more than before, he plays and sings more. So that also really changed the sound compared to times before.
How many instruments did he bring? 24.
Yeah, I have to think. Is at least 4 flutes. Then he has his bazooka, bazooki, and he has his, of course, the alien pipes and a fantastic PRS guitar, and then he sings. So yeah, where were we?
He's quite busy.
Yeah.
You know, but picking up those old songs and renewing them and bringing them on live, does that mean that this is the end of the decades? The decades. I'm sorry, I always miss the word. Decades. You know, because it seems like then, you know, after this tour, you're not going to pick them up again or bring them live again.
It's, you know, I don't know how the future is going to look like, but it can just be so that after we said, now we've celebrated our decades, we have been around for 20 plus years, we're never going to play old songs again. Of course, we're going to have them in our set list, but it's a fact that they will never dominate as much. You know, now there's no new album to promote. And, you know, okay, we have this and this and this amount of songs from older albums and the rest is all focused on the new one. That is the biggest difference. Plus we play 2 hours. So it's really well into everything. That is the unusual thing of this tour.
You said you don't know what the future brings, but I got to ask you, what's the future of Nightwish going to be?
Well, as far as we can tell, we're going to be finishing up the writing process. And
so you're already writing, you've already written songs?
In Nightwish, it's Tuomas that writes.
Yeah.
And let's say he writes 90% of everything. Marco has been known to add songs or parts. And with the first album I was on, and so the latest studio album, Endless Forms Most Beautiful, we took a very long time to rehearse together. So the demos that Tuomas made, we went through together, and in that process, we all got to put in a bit of our own. And as soon as I start to play a part that was first just a piano melody and a lyric, and I make it into my thing, that's where I can put in my creative energy. And that's what everybody does on their instrument and in thinking together. Yeah, that really made that album into what it is. And I can imagine we're going to do the exact same thing. But Tuomas has been writing already. He's been very creative, so it's very exciting to see what he's been cooking up, because he keeps that to himself until the point.
That's funny. So you don't actually know.
No, but I understand that it's like baking a cake, and you already present the cake just by the dough. I think most or a cook would not present its dishes when it's only ingredients. So and as a songwriter, I understand that, and it has to stay in his bubble because it's proven to really work. The man is a true maestro, so he's got that. And of course, I'm dying to wait what it's going to be. Yet again, today it's one step at a time. We're in the middle of a very, very intense world tour. It's great, but everything needs its time and attention. And right now, we're on tour. So.
That's good, but you got to tell me something. You know, when I go home from the station and finish my day, I go home and I have my family at home and they're there and whatever. How does your family work? I mean, this is not a normal family, I guess, that you guys have. I mean,
it's my normal. I don't really want to talk too much about my family. That's a bit too personal. But like everybody, we make it work. And you don't just start with this. It's well planned and well thought of, and it works. So, yeah.
You know, it's funny. You do metal with Nightwish. You do hard rock with Northward. But you also studied opera for a year. But you do. You know, you have to sing like this probably with Nightwish parts and bits and pieces. But did you ever dug deeper into the whole opera stuff?
No, not more than I did when I studied. I did a school called Rock Academy. Yeah. So that was like the conservatory, but then for pop and rock musicians with the same ideas behind it. Yeah. But I had my band at the time, After Forever, where I mixed both, let's say, pop singing in its varieties and operatic singing. At least I tried. And I elected the techniques, and I found a teacher that really was able to teach me both. Yeah. And After my graduation from Rock Academy, I continued doing something called music theater. So it's a bit more focused towards musicals. But my voice sort of ripened, as they can do with classical singing. I was 24, and something happened. A color came to it that I didn't have before. And so I spent 1 year of my studies only on opera. And so I did learn a lot of techniques. But I'm not an official opera singer, if only because opera itself, the real classical style, is just not my thing. It emphasized that I am at the right place, and I like to mix it. And I read an article today actually where I was described once again as the operatic singer that I've always been, and now I do Northwood, which is rock. It's like, really, if you listen to what I've been doing the last 20 years. I've been singing pop and rock in metal with a bit of opera. It's 80-20%. But because Nightwish is started with opera, and I also sometimes do it, it does still have that thing, and I find it remarkable. But yeah, it's there is a huge difference between those two, and I think it's pretty easy to hear, but maybe it just attracts more attention. I don't know what it is.
Okay. It's 1.5 hours before showtime. When do you have to start warming up your voice?
Well, we already had a sound check, and for me, that's my warm up. I usually do. Well, that's the first time you start using your voice full on. Okay. It's like doing a big sports thing, and you have a warm up stretch thing, and you come in cold to something like that. It would not work. So I warm up the first time that I'm going to really use the voice, and then I kind of save it for the show, and also because we play almost every day, so. I need to be careful. The thing I need to be most is activated. I need my body to be active. So if anything, I'll just jump around or something to get really, really in the go mode. But usually just the intro itself and the routines of getting ready gets the adrenaline going. And that's what I need way more than a warm voice. It's something very personal, and throughout the years the techniques around it has been very controversial almost. One say you have to warm up, and the other say no, you don't, because it's already warm. I think it's a very personal thing, but for me it's not too much, and activate the body, and then I'm good to go.
It's been 5 years now that you've been in Nightwish, and I guess you guys just grew together, and the chemistry is just working out fine. But can you imagine doing something else again?
It's been 6, if I may be precise.
Oh, sorry.
But at the moment, no. I mean, I'm in a very, very good place, and I have the freedom to do side projects if I feel like it, if I want to. We have a very, very, very good connection within the band. We have a lot of fun together. So as far as I'm concerned, we have many more years ahead of us.
Good. I have one final question. On Monday, there's Germany playing Holland. What's going to be the score?
I guess you're talking football now, or soccer.
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's football or hockey, or
never mind.
No, I'm not not into sports much. Sorry. Plus, I live in Sweden, so I don't follow it.
No problem. I guess that's it.
Thank
you very much.
Great. Thank you.
That was cool.